Welcome to STEAM and welcome to the world of 3D printing. Hello, my name is Wintson, a senior and a part of STEAM 4. I am a 3D printing enthusiast and am here to impart all of my knowledge of not sucking. What is 3D printing? Well, 3D printing, or FDM manufacturing, fused deposition modeling, is a type of additive manufacturing. Instead of cutting things away, like a lathe or a CNC machine, material is added to create a product. This allows for some very interesting and unique applications like rocket engines, or little boats that you can put on your desk. 3D printing here uses a hot end and a motor to melt plastic precisely to create different figures. It isn't as hard as some people say. Printers are temperamental, to say the least. The slicer is a type of program that turns your 3D object into G-code, which the printers use to print. The Dremel printers use a version of a slicer called Cura. Cura, very common, is used by hundreds of different printer brands and is one of the easiest to use, but it still confuses some. First, you must turn on advanced settings to get access to more options. Here you can change temperature, your specific speeds, and even more. If I mention something that's not here, press the settings icon in the top right corner and click the corresponding setting that you want to enable so it can be altered. Infill. Infill is the amount of plastic that is inside your print. Now, contrary to popular belief, not all models that you see are solid plastic, but are partially hollow. The higher the percentage, the more plastic that's in your print. For the majority of prints, 5 to 10% infill is all you need for desk figures and for just most small things. Something that is used more often, is held more, and might have a function should be 15 to 25% infill. And things that must endure a lot of stress, say printing a handle or something that is going to be outside for extended periods of time, should be anywhere to 50 to 100% infill. Let's talk about support. Support is used to prevent overhangs from misprinting. Think of 3D printing like building with Lego bricks one layer at a time. Building a pyramid or a box or even a tube is easy to do layer by layer, but try putting a one by one Lego piece into thin air. Supports are used to make sure you can print overhangs without failure. You can find in your settings that support infill option and you select it. Click your little settings icon. Now keep mine around 5 to 10% to reduce print time and make removal easier. Changing objects. Thankfully, Cura allows you to manipulate objects in any way you want in the slicer. Going to these side settings, you can see you can rotate, resize, flip objects to any way you like. Remember, you want to find an orientation that uses the least support and offers the most strength. Think about it like a Twizzler. You can pull it pretty easily along the long end, but try pulling all those strands at the same time. For a handle, make sure the lines are horizontal, not vertical, for the optimal orientation. If strength is not a main concern, alter the object so it lies flat as possible and needs little to no supports to save filament and time. The speed of your printer depends a lot on what you're printing. Something that is very complex and small should be done far slower than something that is big and simple. Faster prints often leads to higher fail rates, naturally. This is a very common setting and is easy to find. You can change the speeding of different actions like wall laying down, support infill, but just change the base speeds for now. 100 to 120 millimeters a second is great for simple tasks, but for large, smaller, and complex ones, do between 60 and 80. Select gluing and maintenance. When preparing to print, you must glue the build plate. Because it is glass and not flexible metal like some other printers, the filament will be unremovable from the glass without glue. Several people have done this, and we've had to buy new plates. Please don't be the next one. You take the Elmer's glue stick and apply a thin layer. After you send removal of the print, clean the plate in the sink, dry it, and return to the printer. Filament. Filament is love, filament is life. This is the plastic that is used to create your designs. There are many types, but you only need to concern yourself with a couple. For all filament, you must keep it dry. When taking it out of the printer, place it back in its bag with its desiccant packet, which is silica packets, silica gels. Filament of all types drinks water like they're in the Sahara. A wet filament is a useless filament and will fail and make a terrible product. PLA, or polylactic acid, is recycled from corn byproducts and is the most common. It is not toxic, easy to work with, and cheap, and is what you will be using for 95% of your prints. What it can lack in detail and strength is resistance to hot temperatures. Its versatility makes it the greatest. PETG is the first real plastic. You cannot eat this one. I know. I tried. What it lacks in tastiness of PLA, it makes up for in heat resistance. While printed hotter than PLA, it's significantly better at resisting heat. So if you were to say, take this out into the hot sun, leave it in your car, it's not going to work like PLA would. So think about active models and our props. Nylon is something that you are definitely going to avoid for the first time. It is very fickle. It is one of the hardiest of the bunch. It's one of the strongest you'll have access to. TPU, by far, is the most difficult. This is a rubber-like filament that creates soft, bouncy prints, but is the worst filament to print with. It loves touching to everything and not sticking to anything at the same time, and fails at the slightest breeze, but a good TPU print is hard to beat. When you start becoming more advanced and need specific properties that make your project great, contact Mr. Young and the possibility of acquiring new filaments. On each spool, there will be attached settings such as nozzle temp and build plate temp. And this is what you should put into your settings that we've discussed earlier. These are specific to each filament type, and if it is on the spool, then simply look it up with the filament manufacturer. Now that you've learned how to filament, and you know not to use PLA settings for nylon, don't do it. We have now concluded this presentation. If you missed anything, you can rewatch or look up 3D printing content. There's an abundance on YouTube, but I recommend Zach Freeman or general makerspace content, and any channel detailing the ins and outs of the Cura Slicer. Happy printing, and don't start a 40-hour print in the middle of the week. I swear to God, I'll find you!